Greetings, hello, hello. Welcome back to Academia University, the Academia of Self-Love. So today's topic is about dealing with toxic coworkers. Yes, I know many of us has gone through that situation, whether it was your past job or your current one, and I've dealt with it for the past 5 years, and these are the things that I learn to avoid and things to take notes on and observe based on my experiences dealing with, you know, toxicity. So, one of the things that I notice in a toxic workplace is that motto or that saying is like, oh, we're family. You can always tell us everything. We're all just one big happy family. Just be cautious and don't take that literally because they're basically setting you up so that you can talk about your personal life with them so that they could gossip about you later on. So, yeah, if you have like a coworker who's super chatty and, just like love bombing you as a coworker and like, yeah, we tell each other everything. We're all just one big happy family here. I would definitely take precautions on that because they're basically setting up a bait for you so that you can open up and talk about all your personal life so they can discuss it with their other coworkers or use it as leverage. So when you hear that saying, just be very cautious and keep your personal life private. And I mean that, like, keep that 100% private. I have one coworker who, till this day, this man has been working at the company for more than 10 years and no one knows his birthday till this day. Like, this man has mastered the art of secrecy. And when I tell you, like, nobody knows anything personal about his life except his mom. And that's the only thing he talks about is his sick mom. And Jesus sounds harsh, but yeah, he that's the only thing he's open about. But when it comes to his dating life and if he has a house or where he lives, no one has a clue. So I know it's really hard to do, especially if you are a new coworker coming into the workplace and you want to be relatable and approachable. Um, it is really hard because everyone wants to know if you have kids, if you're married, this and that. Definitely, just give yes or no answers, and eventually they'll understand that, okay, this girl doesn't want to share her private life. And you can choose to say, I'm not comfortable sharing that with you. And, yeah, you do not have to apologize for that. Also, if you're coming on to a new workplace environment, first impressions are everything. When I first started working at that company, I didn't really have a lot of experiences working in the healthcare field. Like, I used to work at the mall and like those little jobs where, like, when it comes to work ethic, that wasn't really like a big thing. But once I started working for that company, I was super friendly. I was trying to be likable. I was trying to be the nice girl and, just telling everyone my personal life and stuff like that. And that usually, oh my gosh, hold on. My cat is being annoying. Yeah, so as I was saying, just being super open about your personal life, that tends to backfire basically. So try to say as little as you can when it comes to that. If it's not relating to work, then I wouldn't be as talkative. But like I said, it depends on your personality. If you are a chatty person, just be aware of the things that you are, telling your coworkers, and so that way you can save yourself. So, yeah, another thing that you have to do when you're dealing with toxic coworkers is not having to explain yourself. A lot of us, or some of us, usually have the habit of over explaining why you can't do something or a certain task. So, if your coworker is trying to get you to go outside with her to smoke, and you're not a smoking person, and you don't want to be associated with smoking outside of the facility or the company and being seen with her, you don't have to explain yourself like, yeah, I just don't want to catch secondhand smoke, and I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well today. Like, just say no. You do not have to over explain yourself to make them feel better. If they are forcing you to do something that you don't want to do, just stand firm on your boundaries and simply say no, and that's it. And if they are someone who is a good friend or a good coworker or someone who respects you, they're not going to keep on pushing it. So that just goes to show you that this person kind of has bad intentions because they're refusing to accept your, your boundaries and stuff. So if you notice that, just keep your distance and keep your eye out on that person. Also, another one is having a hobby outside of work, especially if it's like your first couple of months at the job and you notice how toxic it is and you're dreading coming to work every single day. One of the things that you can do is to create a hobby or have something to do that you're looking forward to when you get off work, so that way you're not bringing in the toxicity at your home or to your family members and friends. So, when you get off work, you're happy because you know you're gonna do that hobby or the thing that you like to do that's gonna bring your mind at ease instead of coming home to your loved ones and complaining about work and just having it in your mind all day, because that tends to be really draining towards your mental and physical health and it's just not healthy. So if you can do that, that would be great as well. So yeah. Which brings me to the other point is constantly doing something to elevate in the workplace. So, dealing with toxic coworkers is already hard as it is, and you definitely do not get paid enough to be someone's therapist or, mule. So, when it comes to that, just if there's any way that you can elevate in the job that can make you more money, so that way you're getting extra compensation for dealing with the crazies and toxic people at work, by all means necessary, do it. So if there's any opportunities that you see to elevate, I would definitely recommend doing that. If it comes to like a task or asking your manager, hey, is there something that I can do that's gonna give me an extra pay towards my annual salary, that would be amazing. And if not, if you are in one of those careers that does not, like one of those careers that doesn't grow, where you have to go back to school so that you can earn more money, then I would suggest doing that as well. Going back to school, if it even if it means taking one class per semester, at least you're doing something where you know in a couple years or in a couple months or so that you're going to be out of that toxic workplace environment. So instead of just accepting the defeat and constantly dragging your body and your mind to go to that toxic work environment, you know, in a couple years in the future that you're going to get out of this place because you're doing something to elevate your career. So, whatever it is that you can do to elevate your career or make extra money to leave that toxic workplace environment or to compensate for dealing with that toxic workplace, then I definitely recommend doing that as well. The other one is not answering phone calls outside of work unless it's your manager or higher ups. That one is really important, guys. I used to be one of those coworkers who would constantly answer the phone from coworkers outside of work and just listening to them just talk about nonsense that had nothing to do with work. And it was really hard because when I finally started to realize my personality and just being that good girl and just allowing the toxicity to follow me outside of work, it was hard for me to back out of that. Like as I stated, first impression is important. So when it comes to like asking for your phone number and stuff, if they're really persistent on getting your telephone number, you can give it to them, but just if you notice they're constantly calling you to talk about non-related stuff, um, just don't answer. And if they confront you about it, like, girl, like, I'm always calling you, and you don't pick up the phone, you can always say that, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just not a phone person. When I get home, I have tons of stuff to do, and I do not have time to chit chat on the phone. I'm sorry. But whatever it is, you can, if it's something important, you can always talk to me right now. Is everything okay? Even asking that is just enabling the toxicity. So honestly, just be like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not a phone person. That's it. And as I stated previously, if you do not feel like over explaining yourself, you can just state that one statement and call it a day. Eventually, they will get the message. But do not break the cycle of answering their telephone numbers, because once you allow a couple calls and they're calling you to talk about or to gossip about coworkers and this and that, do not do it, because believe it or not, there are some coworkers that are so toxic that they will record you. Literally, like, I've seen it with my own eyes. They will record you and use it as leverage. So I highly recommend not doing that, because there are some of those coworkers that are like, if I'm going down, then that means, I'm not going down alone. You're coming down with me. And it's really disgusting out there, but when it comes to that, just keep that in mind that you can always end up being recorded, and that is not good. So, also when it comes to texting, if you notice that you're constantly being put in a group chat and it's not work related and they're talking about nonsense or sending memes or inappropriate things, I also would not partake in that. I would suggest muting the account and just never respond, because like I said, they can also use that as leverage against you if something were to occur. So when it comes to group messages and text messages, like I stated before, if it's not related to work, do not entertain it. Don't even respond. So, yeah, that's extremely, extremely important. The next one is not having your coworkers on social media. Yeah, that one is also important as well, because um I experience, well, not me, but I have noticed that there are some, people that ends up getting in trouble for sharing certain things on their social media, and I've actually witnessed people get fired, especially when it comes to sharing political views on the internet. It's very, very tricky, and if you have coworkers on your social media, they're always watching and just looking out for the negativity, so that way they can screenshot and report you at work, especially if you have a coworker that doesn't like you and they end up having you on there. Just please be aware of what you're sharing on the internet, because there's always someone lurking. So definitely be aware of that. And I highly recommend not having coworkers on your social media at all, because it's like, I'm seeing you every single day. Why do I need to have you on my social media? Unless you guys are really close and you've been working with that person for years, even so, I would still be cautious, because at the end of the day, this is your job, and you can't have any cases building against you, and people change. So you never know when people might change and they end up, you know, doing something based off what you were sharing and just end up getting you fired. It's just too much to think about and to deal with. When it comes to your income and your job, you need to be extremely serious about that, because at the end of the day, if something happens, they're easily going to replace you with someone else, and the same coworkers that were, calling you on the phone to gossip and stuff, they're going to forget about you and move on to the next coworker. So just always keep that in mind, that you're always replaceable and that your income comes first, because yeah, that's the thing that's helping you pay your bills. And if you do not have parents that are financially stable or an extra income coming in, then you definitely need to keep that in mind as well. Also, another thing is not putting your full name on your social media platforms. Unless if it's LinkedIn, then I recommend, putting your full name on there. But when it comes to like TikTok or other social media platforms, I would suggest using a fake name, because believe it or not, managers tend to go on your social media platforms to see what kind of person you are, and to see, what you're posting on social media. And you do not want to deal with that or have to worry about that as well. So I highly recommend, just if you do have a social media, either keep it private or just don't put your full name on there, unless you're one of those people that are one of the professional content creators and you are making content about elevating and just basically things that's going to make you look good in the workplace. Then I would be like, okay, you can use your real name. But if you're creating content and it's not relating to like workplace or something that's gonna make you look good, then I really would just, yeah, definitely either keep it private or use a fake profile. Cause yeah, like a lot of us were trying to be content creators and stuff, but at the same time, you have to remember, if you are still working full time and you're highly dependent on that job, then you definitely need to be cautious and aware of what you're posting on social media, and just be aware, because at the end of the day, someone's always watching. Another one is to not be afraid to go to HR. I know a lot of people, or some people, have that mentality mindset like, oh yeah, I don't snitch, I don't want to be known as a rat in the workplace, this and that. At the end of the day, like I said, if that is your only job and your only income, then when it comes to something that's gonna threaten you getting fired or losing your job, and you know you can do something to stop it, then I would definitely recommend going to HR and to not worry about, you know, people looking at you like, oh my gosh, she's a snitch, this and that. And actually, I think it's a good thing because now people are aware that, hey, this girl, you know, be careful with her because she'll go to HR. So they're going to be more cautious towards you and not try any BS basically because they know that you are basically a snitch. I wouldn't even say that snitching. I would just state that as being firm on your boundaries, like I said, because when you're tolerating stuff and you're just letting it pass by, it is just gonna, it's basically teaching people like how to treat you and just continue to cross your boundaries, and it's just not worth it. So when it comes to something disrespectful or someone making you feel uncomfortable or threatening you, do not be afraid to report that to the higher ups because that just shows them like, oh, okay, this girl doesn't play, like she's really here to work. Be careful with her, and they will also warn other people because I have a coworker and people literally do not talk to her. They try to avoid her as much as possible. I mean, she's kind of is a troublemaker, but when it comes to disrespecting her or if you think you're going to come and try some BS with her, she will literally go to HR and report you. So that right there I think is great because people, like I said, like even the new coworkers that come at that company, they warn them like, "Hey, you see that lady over there? Be careful with her because she's a snitch." Or basically, that's what they like to say is like, "Oh yeah, she's a snitch and she's gonna report you. So you know, be careful." And I rather that instead of someone just constantly disrespecting me in the workplace and just crossing my boundaries all the time and I just sit there and take it. It's 2025. We're not doing that, especially in this economy and inflation going on. Yeah, like I said, when it comes to your job, that needs to be your top priority, especially if you have no financial support and other sources of income coming in. And the which brings me to the next one is reporting everything by email so you can have paper trail. This one is also important as well because there was an incident at my company where this kid, he was, how do I say it? I mean, I haven't worked with him personally because he worked in another department, but basically, he was not happy with the way he was getting treated at that specific department. And he complained to the managers, but he never sent an email. He just would go in their office and complain, and that's basically you not doing anything because, like I said, you don't have a paper trail. And especially if you have a toxic manager or supervisor, they're just gonna basically let it slide, especially if there's favoritism going on and that is one of their favorite coworkers. They're not going to do anything about it. And let's say if you want to sue later on or you know basically anything else, they're not going to take it seriously. I mean, they'll listen to you, but they're not going to take it as serious because you don't have paper trail. So, whatever it is that you've experienced, if it's someone disrespecting you, you need to send that in an email so that way, if you do want to sue later on, you are building that case, you have full proof. And yeah, I highly recommend that as well. Emails is your evidence, it's your paper trail. So definitely don't be afraid to do that. And which brings me to the last one, finding another job. Yeah, if you're not happy in the workplace environment that you're currently in, you can always find a way out. There are better opportunities out there, believe it or not. Um, One of the things that I used to do when I didn't like a workplace environment, I would go on Indeed every single morning and apply to like 5 to 10 jobs every single day because I did not want to be in that environment anymore. So don't, put yourself down and just stay in that toxicity and, come to work every day and you're not happy and it's just not good for your mental health. So, constantly looking out for new job opportunities, whether it's in that current company, if it's switching to another department, is super helpful instead of just sitting there complaining and not doing anything about it. Action speaks louder than words, so definitely practice quiet quitting. And instead of complaining all day, when you get home and you have the free time, complete them applications. Like, instead of calling your friend, like, oh my God, like, I had another horrible day at work, I'm not getting paid enough, this and that. Instead of wasting your energy doing that, apply at jobs. Apply to many jobs as you can, and just do that until you find something better. So that way you can leave that toxic work environment. Because at the end of the day, you can have a good paying job, but then the people in there are so toxic and just, vile human beings that you just don't want to be surrounded in that environment anymore. I mean, unless if it's paying you really good, then you can practice the tips that I have mentioned that have worked. But if you're one of those people who just really, really cannot stand that workplace environment to the point where you're coming home from work crying or you're crying on the way home, then I highly suggest finding another job. So, yeah, these are the things that I do that has helped me to be more at peace at my current employment, and so far it has worked, and I am loving the peace. I'm loving coming home and just not having to worry about, what a coworker said to me and this and that. So it definitely works wonders, the little things that I have mentioned above. And yeah, which brings me to the end of this video. And thank you so much for watching. If there are any tips and recommendations that you recommend that I haven't mentioned in the video, please feel free to comment below. And thank you for watching.